Amazing moment. Billionaire discovered hidden strength in Black Waitress during 3-minute robbery. Mia poured every ounce of her heart into the bustling downtown diner. The clank of silverware packed the air as she deftly moved between tables. A bright smile plastered across her face. She was hardworking, a Black waitress in her late 20s, balancing the weight of supporting her single mother and younger siblings on her slender shoulders. The lunch rush was her battleground. Laughter and chatter filled the atmosphere, embodying American hopes. Yet behind her smile, a stark world of economic inequality loomed like an uninvited guest. Just as she served a steaming plate of comfort food to a weary truck driver, a masked robber stormed in. The jangle of the bell above the door felt more like a death knell than a welcoming chime. Chaos erupted, people screamed, and chairs scraped against the floor like nails on a chalkboard. Mia's heart raced. In a dark corner booth, Tyler, a billionaire businessman, froze as he witnessed everything unraveling before him. Known for his sharp, merciless business tactics, today, that throne of power felt miles away. He had wanted a taste of ordinary life, only to be confronted with its darkest moments. Then his gaze caught Mia. Amidst the swirling panic, she stood remarkably composed, her bold spirit gleaming brighter than any diamond. "Everyone, stay calm," she soothed, her voice steady, cut through the noise like a warm knife through cool butter. The robber, gun in hand, looked more unsettled. A challenge sparked in her eyes. She wasn't just a waitress. She was a force of nature with grit embedded in her soul, and in those heart-stopping seconds, Tyler witnessed her fierce determination. She approached the robber slowly, every step measured, her hands raised in a gesture of peace. "Put the gun down. This isn't the way," she urged. He thought of the stark contrast between their worlds. He had the privilege of wealth, yet here she was, wielding a strength he had only ever known as a comfortable concept. Before he knew it, something shifted within him. The swirling chaos seemed to fade, replaced by an unfamiliar clarity. He saw not only Mia's bravery but the fragility of the world he inhabited. Faced with a choice, he summoned an unexpected courage, overriding instinctual fear. "You don't want to do this," he called out, surprising himself at how deeply he meant it. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The robber hesitated, confusion flashing across his face. Mia's steady gaze met Tyler's again, and in that electric moment, they realized their fates intertwined. The air buzzed with palpable hope and the promise of resilience. Tyler's heart raced. This was his opportunity to show that maybe, just maybe, the world could be different. As the adrenaline settled and the diner returned to its chaotic routine, an invisible divide lingered between them. The aftermath made Tyler question his understanding of strength and privilege. Mia's spirit lingered in his mind, begging him to redefine everything he thought he knew. Days, weeks, a lifetime seemed to stretch before him as they parted, two strangers forever changed by 3 heart-pounding minutes. What does it mean to truly connect? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows layered with uncertainty, Tyler was left caught in the captivating question. Would Mia ever accept him into her world? The diner buzzed with life again, but the air felt different. Customers resumed their meals, but it was as if they were observing from behind a glass wall, their laughter hollow as the chaos still echoed in Mia's mind. She wiped down a table, her hands moving mechanically, while thoughts of the robber and Tyler invaded her space. Did he really care, or was it a fleeting moment of bravery? Outside, the sun began to set, painting the sky in vibrant orange and purple hues. Mia leaned against the counter, the familiar scent of coffee and fried food wrapping around her like a warm blanket, but the warmth evaded her heart. She had faced fear in its rawest form that day, yet here she was, shackled by uncertainty. Hey Mia, you okay? Linda, another waitress, asked, concern etched on her face. Yeah, just thinking, Mia replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite meet her eyes. Thinking or worrying? 'Cause I can see it from here, Linda said gently. Mia sighed. It's just, everything feels heavier now. That guy, what he did. And then Tyler? The billionaire? Linda snorted. Why are you even worried about him? He's got nothing to do with us. Maybe, Mia muttered. But she couldn't shake off the connection she felt. The way he looked at her, a flicker of understanding. Or was it guilt? They lived in entirely different worlds. Yet for a moment, their paths crossed in a way that shook her to the core. Later that evening, as she closed up the diner, Mia replayed the day's events in her mind like a broken record. The normalcy of sweeping the floor couldn't erase her thoughts. Tyler's piercing gaze haunted her, igniting a flicker of hope and confusion inside her. Why did he care? Mia stepped outside, the chill of the night wrapping around her, bringing a shiver to her spine. She spotted a street vendor selling hot cocoa and decided to indulge. The warm beverage felt like a small act of self-care amidst the chaos. She took a sip, letting the sweetness melt the remnants of anxiety. Just as she turned to walk home, a car pulled up beside her. The window slid down to reveal Tyler's familiar face. Mia, wait, he called out, urgency threading through his voice. Her heart raced again. What are you doing here? She asked, a mix of curiosity and caution needing to be addressed. He stepped out of the car, the city lights illuminating his features. I wanted to talk about today. What's there to talk about? Mia snapped, feeling exposed. You saw what happened, and then we went our separate ways. That's it. No, it's not just that, Tyler said, a hint of desperation creeping into his tone. You showed a strength I didn't know existed. I can't just walk away from it. You changed something inside me, Mia. His words hung in the air, thick and real. She was taken aback, not sure how to respond. What do you mean? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I mean that I want to understand more, he replied, stepping closer. I want to know you. What drives you, what you've faced. This doesn't have to be the end of our conversation. Mia's heart pounded in her chest. Could she really open up to him? I don't know, Tyler, she finally said, her thoughts racing. This is all so confusing. We're from different worlds, maybe that's what makes it worth exploring. He proposed, a hopeful glint in his eyes. But was it that simple? Did she dare to take a step toward an uncertain future? As silence enveloped them, Mia found herself at a crossroads. She could walk away, retreat to the safety of her routine, or she could take a chance. Okay, she finally said, taking a deep breath. Then let us start exploring. A smile broke across his face, but for Mia, the moment held more weight than joy. It was a leap into the unknown. And as they stood on that street corner, the city bustling around them, the question lingered in the air. Could two people from such different paths find common ground in a world that often tried to pull them apart? The night air was thick with anticipation as Mia stared into Tyler's eyes. She felt an electric connection swirling between them, a clash of different worlds colliding on that street corner. Her breath caught, and for a moment, time felt suspended like a movie paused on an emotional scene. What came next felt like a grand adventure and an overwhelming risk all at once. So where do we start? Mia asked, her nervousness creeping through the lightness of the moment. I guess we start with whatever you're comfortable sharing, Tyler replied, leaning against the car, his voice still carrying that soft urgency. Tell me about your life, the diner, your dreams, anything. Mia hesitated, a million thoughts swirling around. What could she share that wouldn't alarm him? Here he was, a billionaire with tailored suits and elegant taste, whisking her into a conversation about dreams amongst the remnants of a day chaotic enough to leave her shaking. Okay, she began slowly, the words tumbling out a little clumsily. I've been working at the diner since I dropped out of high school. My mom got sick and well, it turned into a responsibility. She glanced down, as if the ground could offer solace. I never really stopped to think about what I wanted. Until today. Tyler's question felt gentle. She nodded. Yeah, today taught me that I have to start thinking. I don't want to be stuck, you know? I want more than just serving coffee and pie. I want to create art. But what's the point of dreaming if it all feels impossible? Art? Tyler's curiosity curled at the edges of his lips. What kind of art? Anything that lets me express myself, she replied, a glimmer of passion igniting in her eyes. Like painting, drawing. It's like breathing for me, but I haven't had time to really dive in. Not with everything going on. Tyler's gaze softened, a reflection of something profound flashing across his face. You're much more than you give yourself credit for, Mia. That strength you showed today, it's like you have a well of courage most people don't tap into. Mia chuckled softly, nerves bubbling to the surface. Courage? I just reacted. No. He shook his head firmly. You protected people. You stood up against fear. That's not just reacting. That's true bravery. You're a force. Her cheeks flushed with a mixture of embarrassment and pride. Here was this man, a stranger really viewing her through a lens she hadn't thought possible. It sparked something within her that had been dormant for too long, and suddenly she wanted to believe in those words as Tyler shared a few snippets of his life. Glimmers of his world began to unfold, a life filled with luxury, but also one laden with expectations and pressures Mia couldn't even begin to fathom. Yet, amidst the glamour, she sensed an underlying loneliness in his tone. It was another strange commonality. They were both searching for something more. Maybe it's easier to be brave when you've faced fear, she said matter-of-factly, her heart racing. You know, like we did today. The fleeting confidence in her words surprised even herself. What was happening? This was a dance she had never practiced. Maybe, he replied thoughtfully. But this could lead to a terrifying vulnerability as well. What if we lean in despite the fear? What if we try to understand each other's worlds? Mia took a deep breath, the weight of his words settling into her bones. I'm just scared of what it all means, she admitted. And that's okay, he reassured her, stepping closer, his gaze steady on hers. Let us figure it out together. In that instant, with the city lights twinkling like stars in the backdrop and the hum of life swirling around them, Mia felt a sense of hope unfurling inside her chest. They might come from entirely different places, but they could carve a path of connection that defied expectations. But as her heart soared, she also felt an unsettling question arise. What would happen when their different worlds collided too harshly? Are you sure you want to do this? She asked finally, unsure of her own emotions. More than anything, Tyler replied, determination glinting in his eyes. And in that moment, it was clear. Both of them were about to embark on a journey that would change everything. And just as new possibilities bloomed between them, a sudden shout echoed down the street, breaking the spell. They turned to see a group of people surrounding a man who was stumbling away from a shadowy alley. There was chaos in the air again. Tyler, Mia said, her heart pounding in sync with the rising tension. What's going on? But before he could answer, the unexpected burst of panic rattled shards of their budding connection. Would they stand strong together again, or would the shadows of their past lives drag them apart once more? The shouts grew louder, jagged edges of panic slicing through the night. Tyler instinctively moved closer to Mia, looking between her and the unfolding chaos. Adrenaline surged in him as a knot tightened in her stomach. Stay close, he whispered, and before she could respond, he stepped forward, ready to confront whatever was happening. Mia's heart was racing. The thrumming pulse of her fear forced her instinct to flee. But she found herself frozen, caught between the urgency of the moment and the comfort of Tyler's presence. She wanted to believe he could handle this. They were standing on the edge of something so promising, and yet here was a jarring reminder of the unpredictability of their worlds. The man in the alley stumbled again, his hands flailing as he shouted something unintelligible. Tyler's eyes darted around, assessing the scene, and within seconds, he locked onto a couple of figures that seemed to be closing in on the disheveled man. Just hold on, Tyler murmured to her as he moved toward the group. The light from nearby street lamps flickered dimly, casting an uncertain glow over their faces. What are you doing? She yelled, her voice rising above the din. tinged with a mix of fear and admiration. "I need to see if he is okay," Tyler called back, urgency fueling his actions. As he closed the gap, people began to step back, drawn by the tension that was winding like a taut string about to snap. Mia felt a surge of frustration. How did he manage to be so brave while she felt like she was withering away? The shadows shifted as Tyler reached the man, who seemed dazed and panicked. Tyler bent slightly, attempting to calm him down with reassuring words. "Mia, come here," he called, and his voice suddenly switched tone, slipping into one of command mixed with deep concern. Taking a deep breath, Mia stepped forward, grounding herself as she joined him. Standing shoulder to shoulder with him felt like a lifeline. She quickly caught sight of the fearful look on the man's face. It was raw, filled with desperation that mirrored the same feelings buried deep inside her. "What's going on?" Tyler asked gently, focusing solely on the man. I just wanted to get away." The man's voice was shaky, his eyes darting around wildly. "They were after me." "After you?" Mia interjected, feeling the urgency inside her swell. "Why?" Because I saw something I shouldn't have." The weight of his words lingered in the air, raising new questions. Had another life been hidden just beneath the surface of this chaotic night? Mia felt the swell of danger, and yet, oddly enough, it pushed her courage to the forefront. "You're safe now," she said softly, though she wasn't so sure. She risked a glance at Tyler. His eyes were still fixed on the man, an unwavering pillar of support amid the tumult. Just then, a commotion erupted down the street. A few of the figures in the crowd had spotted something, and as if awakened, several of them rushed toward the alley. A sense of urgency thrummed around them, tightening the atmosphere even more. Tyler's body tensed. "Let us back away," he muttered, but the man clutched at his wrist. "Please, don't leave me," he pleaded, panic swirling as realization spread across his face. Hey, look at me." Tyler knelt so their eyes locked, steady and calm. "You're not alone. We'll protect you." Mia stood rooted in place, her thoughts racing. Did they have the power to protect him? She had never felt more vulnerable or more powerful in her life. She could sense Tyler's determination flowing into her, knitting them into a resilient unit. But who was she really in this moment? A waitress fighting for dreams, or someone who had found herself intertwined with a billionaire amidst a raging storm? Just then, the first of the shadows lunged forward, breaking through the crowd with wild energy. "Mia!" Tyler shouted, grabbing her arm. His voice became the tether pulling her back to reality. "What do we do?" she shouted, heart thundering in her chest. Everything rattled in those crucial seconds. It was nowhere near over. They had to figure out their next move, together. What if this night led them to discover strengths they never knew they had? Or left them battling demons from their pasts? Regret swirling in the chaos? In the blink of an eye, chaos erupted as the figure lunged from the shadows, his intentions veiled but surely malicious. Mia's heart raced uncontrollably. She felt like she was in a movie, where everything happened too fast to process. "Tyler!" she screamed, pulling at his arm. But he was already moving, instinct guiding him like an unbreakable compass. "Get back!" he shouted, placing himself between Mia and the incoming threat. The alley drew tighter around them, the surrounding crowd a mix of stunned faces and hushed whispers. The rogue figure stopped just a few feet away, eyes wide, his breath ragged. "I just want what he has," he shot, voice a blend of desperation and aggression as he pointed towards the man trembling on the ground. Tyler's demeanor shifted. He was a wall of unwavering strength. "You don't have to do this. Step back." His tone was firm, but Mia could hear a hint of pleading woven within. Mia locked eyes with the terrified man. Would he be the one to make everything worse? It was like a game of dominoes teetering on the edge. One wrong move and everything would come crashing down. "Please just leave him alone." Mia found her own voice rising, more determined than she had ever felt. "He is not a threat to you." The would-be attacker hesitated, uncertainty flickering across his features. Just then, the crowd murmured, the tension tightening like an ever-approaching storm. "No one wants trouble here," Tyler maintained, staring hard at the man, trying to see if he could draw him back from the ledge of panic. "But hurting him will only cause more pain all around." The desperation in the air hung heavy. Even amidst Mia's own fear, something stirred within her, a fierce resolve. She couldn't let this moment slip away without doing everything in her power to help. "I know you're scared," she called out, stepping forward. "We're all scared. But violence won't fix this. Whatever you think you're gonna gain, it won't be worth it." For a moment, silence enveloped them, as if the universe conspired to offer a fragile glimmer of hope. Tyler glanced back at her, pride etching his features for a fleeting second before he returned his focus to the man threatening them. Not knowing exactly what she was doing, Mia continued, "There's a way out for everyone, but it starts with you choosing not to hurt anyone." The tension in the air seemed to loosen slightly, like the first signs of dawn breaking through the night. The man faltered, stepping back, his hands slowly lowering. Every heart in that narrow alley beat in unison, caught in the fragile moment. "Who are you?" the thug muttered, as though he was just realizing the impact of their words. The bravado vanished, replaced by uncertainty. Mia looked at Tyler, her chest swelling with a feeling that was indescribable. She was far from being the helpless waitress she often saw in herself. She was standing shoulder to shoulder with someone who believed in her. And in this unexpected alliance, they had managed to change the course of the encounter. As the crowd murmured their doubts and fears, hope seemed to shimmer in the air, igniting the bond that tethered them together. "Let us help each other," Tyler said bravely, extending a hand towards the man in front of them. "There's always another way." But just as some in the crowd began to inch forward to join the effort, another sound erupted, a police siren, wailing through the night. Chaos was about to shift again, this time into something neither Mia nor Tyler was ready to face. Would their newfound strength withstand the approaching storm, or would they find themselves swept back into the turmoil that had first drawn them together? Sirens sliced through the night like a knife, echoing off the alley walls. The commotion surged as lights blinked on in the distance, blue and red dancing among the gathering crowd. Panic rippled through the faces around them, and the atmosphere shifted, once again, into a whirlwind of uncertainty. "Tyler, what do we do?" Mia's voice quivered, fear creeping back in like an unwelcome shadow. Her heart thudded in her chest, and for a brief moment, she felt helpless again, just a waitress caught in a situation she had no way of controlling. "We stand our ground," Tyler replied with fierce conviction, his eyes locked on the thug who still wavered, torn between flight and fight. "Let us keep him here. The police can help. They need to know what's going on. But what if he runs? What if he's armed?" Mia's thoughts raced, each one more terrifying than the last. Images of violence filled her mind, a rush of adrenaline igniting her legs to move, but Tyler's presence anchored her. "Trust me," he urged, his gaze steady like a lighthouse amidst the storm. "If we show we're unified, maybe he'll see it too." The thug's breath quickened again, the sound filled with panic and a hint of desperation as the reality of their all eyes on him sank in. He looked between Tyler and Mia, searching for an escape. "Just let me be," he shouted, voice cracking, glancing nervously towards the entrance of the alley, where siren lights began to gleam brighter. "I don't want any trouble." "We're not the trouble here," Tyler called back, his tone a mix of authority and empathy. "You're just scared, and that's okay. But let us turn this fear into something better." The thug blinked, uncertainty etched across his face. He was a cornered animal, someone who had leapt into chaos, now caught and confused. Mia's heart ached for him, recognizing a reflection of her own worries in his eyes. She took another small step forward. "What can we do to help you?" she said softly, her voice breaking through the thundering sirens. "Whatever it is you think you need, we can work toward it together." Hurting someone isn't the answer. For a moment, the alley disappeared, and it felt like just the three of them existed, caught in this delicate balance of fear and hope. The thug flinched, shifting as if her words coaxed out the humanity buried beneath the bravado. The sirens grew louder, drawing near, and reality pressed in again. Shadowy figures of the police began to fill the entrance, their authoritative presence startling the gathering crowd into a hush. "Get down. Put your hands where we can see them." A voice boomed from outside the alley, echoing against the brick walls. Mia's heart sank as she realized the weight of their precarious situation. Tyler, what if they think he's the one to be arrested? What if they don't listen? Panic clawed at her throat. "Stay calm," he said, taking a deep breath. "We need to make sure they understand we're with him." The thug shifted again, his bravado wavering further. The air turned electric as the officers approached, surveying the chaos, confusion flashing in their eyes. Time seemed to blur as Tyler stepped forward, determination coursing through him. "Wait," Tyler shouted, raising his hands, signaling both the police and the man between them. "We can explain." Mia held her breath. Would they be able to navigate this chaotic tide? The thug glanced back at her, an uncertain choice brewing in his eyes. Mia could feel the weight of their collective fears, shifting the moment into something fragile and vital. The sirens blared, drowning out her thoughts. But in that heartbeat, she recognized one truth. They were all more connected than they had ever realized. And just then, as if propelled by the weight of their unspoken alliance and shared fears, the thug hesitated. In that moment of uncertainty, he made his choice. The next sound would forever change the course of their lives. But what would it be? The moment hung in the air, a fragile thread woven from tension and hope. Mia could see it in the thug's eyes, the flicker of doubt, the yearning for something beyond this chaos. "Let us just talk," Tyler pressed, his voice cutting through the surrounding panic. His hands were still raised, betraying neither threat nor anger, only the desperate plea for understanding. The police officers paused, taken aback by this unexpected sight. "Step away from him," one officer barked, his voice firm, but even he hesitated for a split second, taking in the scene before him. The thug's breath was ragged. "I didn't mean to," his voice faltered, raw emotion cracking through his bravado. He wasn't a monster. He was a scared kid trying to escape his demons. "Then let us fix this together," Mia said, her heart pounding but resolute. "We can help. Please just put down that weapon. You don't have to fight." The thug looked down at the small knife in his hand, the blade glinting under the harsh lights. For a moment, he appeared as lost as ever, caught in a storm of choices. Each flicker of doubt played out on his face like an open book. "Don't you understand? I'm in too deep," he muttered, glancing toward the police and then back to them. "They'll never believe me. I'm nothing." "That's where you're wrong," Tyler responded, his voice steady. "We all have a choice, a chance to change. It doesn't matter what you've done. What matters is what you do now." Around them, the crowd drew closer, a mix of fear and curiosity painted on their faces. They could feel the tension in the air, a weight pushing down on their collective chests. Mia saw a couple of familiar faces from the diner. They were watching, holding their breath, waiting to see how this confrontation would unfold. "Give me the knife," Tyler said, his eyes never leaving the thug's face. "No one will hurt you, not here. But it starts with you being brave just as you are right now. You can choose to walk away from all this." Mia felt a shiver run down her spine as silence enveloped them. Could courage truly come from such a fractured soul? The seconds stretched into eternity. Time slowed, and she could almost hear the rise and fall of every heart in the alley, hers, Tyler's, the thug's, alongside the police's apprehension. Finally, the thug took a deep breath, his tight shoulders relaxing just enough for them to hardly notice. For what felt like an incredible lifetime, he hovered on the brink of decision, teetering between fear and a flicker of humanity's deepest instincts: survival, compassion, perhaps even redemption. Slowly, he let the knife slip from his fingers. It fell with a muted clang against the concrete ground. The officers reacted instantly, rushing forward, their authoritative presence looming, arms at the ready. "Get down. Hands where we can see them," they shouted once more, but Tyler pushed forward without hesitation. "No, wait," he called, determination pulsing through him. Mia's breath quickened. Hope swirled, but so did danger. Would the police see this moment for what it truly was? The atmosphere thickened with uncertainty. Mia's heart raced. She could hardly process the fragile peace they had forged in these tense moments. Would it be enough? Would they all stay safe in the face of the officer's commands? And just then, as the police didn't tee back off, another shock rippled through the crowd, causing Mia to stagger back. For the thug had made his choice, but they were all about to face the consequences of it. What happened next would redefine their lives forever. Mia froze. The air crackled with tension as the police advanced. She could feel the eyes of the crowd on them, the weight of their anticipation pressing down like a heavy blanket. Tyler stood firm, unyielding in the face of chaos, his expression strained but resolute. "Wait!" He gave up. Tyler shouted, his voice echoing in the narrow space. "Yes, not a threat. Just look." The officers hesitated, uncertainty flickering across their faces. The thugs stood there, hands raised in surrender, fear and relief warring beneath the surface. But there was no turning back now. The police were trained to respond to threats, not plea for humanity. "No, you don't understand." Mia stepped forward, her voice trembling but infused with urgent conviction. "Yes, just a kid. He didn't mean stay back." One officer yelled, pushing Mia aside. She stumbled, the frenzy of emotion clashing within her. She could hardly believe what was unfolding. The very crisis they hoped to avert was spiraling into chaos. "Please." Mia's eyes searched the thug's, trying to communicate everything they just shared. "You have the chance to change. Just hold on." But the moment stretched and pulled thin as the officers closed in. One shouted to another, "Get him down. He might have a weapon." Suddenly, a cacophony erupted. The crowd surged, some shouting in support, others in fear. Mia's heart raced as chaos erupted around her. She could barely hear herself, drowned out by the noise. Panic surged, overtaking rational thought. "Tyler, we need to do something," she yelled, her words barely breaking through the storm of chaos. But Tyler remained still, rooted in place, watching, waiting for the right moment. The thug's eyes darted around, filled with desperation. "I'm not a monster. I just needed." His plea was silenced as an officer lunged forward, grabbing the boy's arm. "Get on the ground." The thug fell, a cry escaping his lips as the harsh reality of his situation engulfed him once more. Mia felt sick. Adrenaline pumped through her veins, splitting her focus between the boy and Tyler, whose face was drawn tight with concern. This wasn't how it was supposed to end. They had offered him hope, a way out. They had bridged a gap, only for it to spiral into darkness. "No!" she screamed, lunging forward as the officer slammed the thug to the ground, roughly handcuffing him. Her heart sank as the boy's face twisted in fear, understanding the consequences of what would come next. The power of choice evaporated in seconds, leaving only despair behind. "Back off!" The officer shouted again, blocking Mia's path with a firm hand. But she wouldn't be silenced. "You're making a mistake." He just wanted to escape before she could continue. A loud voice cut through the chaos. "Stop! Everyone, just stop!" It was Mr. Henderson, the diner owner, rushing forward from the crowd, his face flushed with urgency. "I know this kid. I can vouch for him," he said, chest heaving, bewildered expressions snapping to him as curiosity mingled with disbelief. Mia's heart swelled with hope. "He needs help." She called to Mr. Henderson, unable to keep the tears at bay. "He's in a bad place, but we can make it right." "Exactly," Mr. Henderson shouted, trying to push past the police. "Listen, I've seen him in my diner, serving, trying to make a living. He's not the person you think he is." The officers paused, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. For a brief moment, the world hung in the balance, as if time itself had paused. Was there still a path forward? Could they turn this around? Mia's pulse raced as she awaited their decision, knowing that this moment held the power to transform everything or lead them deeper into despair. But in an instant, everything could change again. Could they save him before the final blow fell? What if the real battle was just beginning? The world jolted back to life when Mr. Henderson's words hung tantalizingly in the air. The police officers exchanged hesitant glances, processing the unexpected intervention. Mia could hardly breathe as she watched them. She could feel every heart in the crowd racing, united in that fragile moment of uncertainty. "Sir, back away," one of the officers barked, still gripping the thug tightly. "We're handling this." But Mr. Henderson held his ground. "This kid isn't a criminal. He's a survivor. You need to listen." His voice quavered with the weight of the truth he was fighting for. Mia had to fight the urge to scream for everyone to rally behind Henderson, to make them see how the thug was just a boy backed into a corner, desperate for a way out. The tension seemed to thicken the air until it felt suffocatingly close. Hadn't they all, at some point, felt trapped, afraid, trying to claw their way to safety? The thug was still on the ground, shoulders shaking. "I'm not here to hurt anyone. I was just trying to get by." His voice cracked, raw and vulnerable, and Mia's heart cracked with it. One officer stepped closer, wary, his brow furrowing as if he were beginning to consider the possibilities. "Is that true?" he asked, looking from Mr. Henderson to the boy. "You're just trying to get by?" "Yes, I swear," the thug cried, his eyes wild. "I didn't want any of this. I just needed money for my little sister's medicine. She's sick. I didn't know what else to do." Mia's breath caught. She hadn't known about that. Suddenly, the thug's reality painted a picture that made her guts twist with a deep, empathetic ache. How many times had she heard people brush past someone in trouble, blaming them for their circumstance without bothering to look deeper? In the crowd, whispers ignited like wildfire. Some faces softened, reflecting understanding, while others still wore masks of fear. The police's posture responded, shifting slightly as doubt seeped into their resolve. "Listen," Mr. Henderson pressed on, urgency brightening his voice. "I've seen this kid work hard just to scrape by. All he needed was a chance. We could give him that." "Yes." Mia joined in, her voice trembling with a surge of determination. "He's not a bad person. No one deserves to be defined by one moment of desperation." The officers hesitated, visibly flustered. They were trained to diffuse situations, not to confront the deeper issues the boy represented. Just then, Tyler reached out, placing a steady hand on Mia's shoulder. His eyes held a spark of hope that they could reach through this chaos together. But as the moments dragged on, Mia could see that time for negotiation was slipping away, grasped in a frantic grip of worry. The atmosphere was electric, and the fear threatened to break loose again. What if they didn't listen? What if fear won out over compassion? "Please," the thug's voice faltered again, a singular plea that seemed to reverberate through the crowd. "I'm just a kid. I'm trying to help." Mia's heart drummed in her chest, a pulse of collective hope and fear. Could they really turn this desperate story around? Was there still a thread of redemption to cling to? With Mr. Henderson on their side, with Tyler at her back, they had to fight against the tide of despair weighing heavily on the scene. But she knew that even as things began to shift, with uncertainty still lingering in the air, they were racing against an unseen clock. Would the officers choose to listen, to reconsider? Or would they allow fear to dictate their next move? Time was running out. What would happen when the realization hit that their choices could either change a life or seal a fate? The atmosphere crackled with tension, hanging in the air like the heavy weight of a storm about to break. The police officers exchanged uncertain glances, their training battling with the unexpected reality unfolding before them. Would they see the thug as a person in need of help, or as a simple threat? Time wove tightly around them, and the odds hung precariously in the balance. "Listen," Mr. Henderson pushed, his voice cracking with urgency. "This boy works hard, he fights for his family. We need to give him a chance, not a life sentence." Mia felt hope spurting into her veins, her heart racing in sync with a collective yearning from the crowd surrounding them. She silently pleaded with the officers to understand, to recognize the desperation that often lived beneath the surface, something she herself had battled for years. "He's human, just like all of us," she added, her voice steady but thick with emotion. We've all been scared at some point. One mistake doesn't define who we are. The thug, now on the ground, flinched, hesitation dancing in his eyes as he assessed the situation. Fear woven with a flicker of hope. The officers shifted, their stance softening slightly as they registered the mingled voices of concern and compassion. Mia could feel that moment of tension as though they were hanging by a fragile thread of humanity, and it could snap at any second. "Please, I just wanted to save my sister," the thug cried, desperation flooding his voice. I didn't know what else to do. For the first time, Mia saw the vulnerability in his face, the vulnerability that mirrored her own struggles. He wasn't just a criminal. He was a scared kid in dire need, relying on something that existed in everyone. The instinct to protect those we love. "Sir," one of the cops argued, still firm but faltering, "you can't threaten people to get what you need." "No," Mia shouted, stepping closer, her heart pounding. "But can't you see? He didn't want violence. He was desperate. There's always a choice, but the system doesn't always give people the options they deserve." A palpable silence fell, the kind that felt like the world held its breath. Eyes narrowed, the crowd began to palpitate, and Mia felt a sense of collective understanding grow. People began whispering amongst themselves, sharing stories of struggle, empathy flooding the air. "Please," Tyler interjected, still keeping his presence strong at Mia's side. "Let us not let fear decide this boy's fate. We can pull together and create a path, offer him the chance for transformation instead of punishment." Mia felt warmth blossom in her chest. Tyler's support was an anchor, a flicker of hope. And then, in a moment reminiscent of Mia's own inspiration from that chaotic day, several voices around them began to rise in agreement. "He deserves a second chance. Help him, don't destroy him. We understand what he's going through." All around them, the hum of humanity surged in the crowd, pulsing with the shared recognition of their own fragility. Mia's heart swelled as she noticed the shared resolve. People from all walks of life had emerged to support a boy in turmoil, each voice carving an echo of love and understanding. Finally, one of the lead officers, a straight-backed veteran, hesitated, his resolve wavering against the powerful wave of unity that washed over them. "What are you all suggesting?" he asked slowly, his voice a mix of skepticism and curiosity. "We're suggesting compassion," Mr. Henderson replied firmly, stepping forward again. "Give him a chance. He needs help, not punishment." Mia took a breath, knowing the moment felt pivotal. "We can work together to help him find the support he needs, counseling, a job, whatever it takes. He is a human being. We all have the ability to change." The officer's guard began to lower, a spark of something like understanding lighting within his eyes. "All right," he finally said, visibly conflicted. "If we explore this option, we need to ensure there are consequences. But healing is a journey," Tyler interjected, and as he spoke, Mia saw the solidarity building in his gaze. "And we're ready to walk this road with him." The thug, still on the ground, trembled. Hope and fear clashed within him, as he considered the words that had the capacity to change his life forever. The veteran officer nodded slowly, the tension in his spine easing. "Let us see what can be done," he said, lowering his voice. "This is not usual procedure, but we will assess." Suddenly, two officers rushed forward to help the thug to his feet, the earlier hesitation lingering in the air. The crowd held its breath, all eyes transfixed on this extraordinary scene unfolding. The thug, alive with uncertainty, stood shaking, tentative yet hopeful. Mia stepped forward. "We're just trying to help you know that there's a way out," and before she realized it, the thug broke down in tears, raw and vulnerable, the weight of fear, shame, and hope crashing over him like a storm. The crowd gathered closer, forming a circle of support as a vehicle of change became possible as the police led the boy away, not in handcuffs but with guidance. Mia felt tears prickle in her eyes. Tyler stood next to her, and she could feel his warmth, a reminder that two paths could intertwine in the face of adversity. They were united, thriving amidst the storm, ready to explore a future together. And no longer just a waitress. Mia had emerged as a fierce advocate for change, finding her voice in the depths of chaos. She had willed her courage into the world, and now, a spark of hope glimmered brightly in her heart. The evening air lightened as she turned to Tyler, their gazes meeting, two souls transforming through the beauty of connection, fresh possibilities and a rooted sense of purpose. In their bond arose the recognition that together, they could face any storm. The crowd began to disperse, and Mia felt the weight of their shared experience settle into the fabric of her being. She had walked through darkness only to emerge into the light, a newfound understanding of hope illuminating her path forward. "Thank you," she whispered to Tyler, emotion spilling over, "for believing in him and me." His smile was radiant and full of warmth. "You didn't need me to believe, Mia. You believed in yourself first." And in that moment she knew. This was not just the end of their story. It was the beginning of a shared journey. As they stepped back into life, hand in hand, pursuing dreams brimming with possibility, the world seemed open again. It was their moment to embrace transformation, dive into the unknown, and rewrite the narratives they'd been told. No longer just survivors, they were warriors ready to challenge the world together. If you're moved by this story and want to see more incredible transformations, subscribe immediately to the channel. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to help feed the algorithm. And don't forget to comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey. Don't wait not even one more second to spread hope and inspiration. Your support is what makes this channel thrive.